you have to go to the doctor, and it's hard to go to the doctor. You've been injured, you've got a family, your car's messed up. How are you going to get there? It's not fun. No one likes to go to the doctor. Most of us avoid it. You've got to add in all of these stressors. And so what you'll see is people will tough it out. I represented a friend of mine who's a fellow lawyer, and she toughed it out for like a month. And the problem is that, there's an army of defense experts that will come out and say, well, we don't know if that shoulder injury was due to the accident because it's been such a long time. We don't have an MRI. We can't tell.
Welcome to the Throne of Wealth, the podcast that empowers you to reign over your financial future. Each episode brings you tax strategies, wealth building insights, and stories from inspiring entrepreneurs. The Throne of Wealth is brought to you by King of Kings Accounting Firm, where financial challenges become opportunities for growth. Let's get into it.
Welcome today to another episode of the Throne of Wealth. And today we have a special guest speakers, Alex from the city of Atlanta. So he's local here in Georgia. And I am so delightful to hear everything he has to share with us, how in his law firm and with his team, they help the community, they help the locals, they help the firms, they help the clients that have been injured and maximize their case to the max as possible. So Alex, welcome to our podcast today.
Thank you, Karen. It's great to be here. That's exactly right. That's what we do. We help injured folks recover as much as they can so they can get their life back on track, pay all their bills, not go into debt because they were in an accident, and hopefully, if we can, set them up for a better future despite their injury.
Alex, for those that are meeting you today for the first time, and then, that they haven't come across you, that they haven't got to have the pleasure to meet you and your team, tell us a little bit about the journey and what got you into law.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So I've been practicing now for over 15 years. When I came out of law school, I really wanted to go work for a large firm, but it was 2010, which was during like the Great Recession. And so that ended up not happening for me. I ended up going to work for a smaller firm, which turned out to be great. I actually started defending other lawyers that got sued, doing legal malpractice defense. So I learned what not to do, right from the beginning. And I defended some very large law firms that will remain nameless here, but that everyone here would know. And I saw kind of what we don't do in the practice of personal injury. I then started defending large trucking companies and doing a lot of defense work for them for about 10 years. And then COVID happened. And I felt like that was, a time when all of us reflected on, hey, am I doing what I want to do in my life? And what I decided during COVID was I wanted to open up a law firm that helped injured people. So I did that in April 2021. And now for the last few years, all I do is help injured folks, doing the same stuff that I used to do on the defense side. So I kind of know what they do, their tricks. I now bring that to the practice of law, helping injured people.
Wow, that's impactful. That's amazing, right? Turning from the other side to now to the defense side and defending individuals and families. What would be one of the scenarios, Alex, that you have had, with a client, common mistakes that our community sometimes, or we people make, right? When they become injured or have an accident or, an incident that happened in the workplace or as they're in the street and in a shopping center, you name it, or medical, right, for that matter. What would be one of the common mistakes that you see or behaviors on the injured party?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the biggest things, and this actually happened just right before I was talking with a potential client, is you have to go to the doctor. And it's hard to go to the doctor. You've been injured, you've got a family, your car's messed up. How are you going to get there? A lot of times it's not fun. No one likes to go to the doctor. Most of us avoid it at all costs, and then you've got to add in all of these stressors. And so what you'll see is people will tough it out. I've had, I represented a friend of mine who's a fellow lawyer, and she toughed it out for like a month. And the problem is that, there's an army of defense experts that will come out and say, well, we don't know if that shoulder injury was due to the accident because it's been such a long time. We don't have an MRI. We can't tell. And so when you get in an accident, it's not time to tough it out. It's time to actually go take care of yourself. And worst case scenario, you go to the doctor one time, you're feeling great next week, you've protected yourself, everything's fine. But if you don't go to the doctor and you wait a month, I've even seen people wait 2 or 3 months, it gets really, really hard to relate to the accident.
So waiting only hurts your case instead of strengthening the possibility of you having a very positive outcome.
Right. That's right. And, you can relate that to other types of industries too. I would tell when I was on the defense side, we would call it the ostrich defense, sticking your head in the sand. That's not going to generally get you where you want to go in life, business, and it doesn't apply. And it applies in the same way in a personal injury victim. If you are a victim of an injury, you need to get to the doctor. It's not the time to put your head in the sand. It's the time to be proactive, contact an attorney, contact a doctor, make sure that you're okay, so that you can protect your rights. It's your one time to recover for your injuries monetarily and physically. You only have one chance.
Alex, for someone that has never hired legal representation before, what would you say they should do when that necessity presents itself?
Yeah, a legal relationship is important, and it should be made based on the research that the client does. So I would not recommend someone just hearing, a jingle on the radio and being like, well, I like the sound of that. And, what you need to do is look at Google reviews, for example. Make sure that prior clients are saying positive things. You need to look at the history of the attorney. A lot of times they'll have that on their website, what recoveries they have done and what they haven't. You can go to the Georgia State Bar website, type in the attorney's name. You can see if there's any discipline that the attorney has underwent. That's a public record. And then when you're talking with the attorney, ask them, what is the setup of your law firm? Am I going to be working with an actual attorney? Am I going to be working with a paralegal? Both of those are, legal professionals that obtain certifications. Or am I going to be working with a case manager, who may not be a legal professional, a certified legal professional, but instead may be another type of person working your case. Those are the types of questions that I would tell people to ask before they hire a lawyer.
Very, very, very interesting. From hearing you in the numerous representations that you have done throughout your career, you started in one of the hardest time. I remember in 2010, I was still in college, but Jesus Christ, it was so hard to even just find a job. No one wanted to hire somebody that was just starting. And Ryan, there, with more than 20 years of experience, you're here today. What would you say for those? You also work with a lot of union attorneys in small and large firms that have other complex cases, and from a business perspective and from a legal standpoint that you work with other B2B businesses. What would you say to these other law firms out there that sometimes they take a complex matter, and what makes the difference between a complex and a standard personal injury case, and how does your firm communicate with them, contact them, or they can get in touch with you, to learn more about what you do, Alex?
Yeah. So we partner often with other law firms actually on their complex cases. I would define complex cases as severe injuries and well-resourced defendants. So when I used to defend companies, I worked for some of the largest companies in the world. And so they have a lot of resources. We would take the full bear to the case. And then sometimes you would face a plaintiff's law firm that didn't have that. And that's kind of what we offer to folks. We could bring the resources to help fund the cases. These are very expensive things. We have the experience to be able to push the case to a bigger resolution. And so when you're dealing with a severe injury and a high resource defendant, a lot of times you can make more money for yourself and the client by partnering with a law firm that has the experience in those types of cases. And so that's what we do for them there.
What about, Alex? I would like for you to give to the audience a little bit of those ups and downs and wins that they, as business owners, all small business owners gonna go through. You started your business in 2021, and it's been right now close to soon to be, I guess, 5 years, right? That you decided to open your practice. Tell us a little bit about the trajectory in the journey.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, Karen, if it's okay with you, I'm going to start back even a little bit before, back to that 2010 piece, because, so I'm a first generation lawyer. I'm also a first generation college grad. And so, I was all excited to come out of school, and I was like, this is going to be, propelling me into the future that I want for myself and my family. And when I came out, it was just a really hard time to get a job. And I ended up going from, hey, I'm going to work in one of these large buildings in downtown Atlanta, to actually moving back in with my parents and sending out cold resumes to people. But still at the time, you could apply online, but then also people were still mailing physical resumes. And so I would sit there and I would have a goal of mailing, 10 or 20 resumes a morning. And it was a sad time. It was hard. We often, as humans, when we get in those areas where things are not going as we envision, we can start to take it on ourselves. What does this mean about me? Am I worthy? Am I good? Am I the type of business owner or professional I should be? And that's happened, of course, throughout the practice of law too. When I started my firm in 2021, it was a leap of faith. It was, we were still in the COVID time. The courts were kind of at a stuttering pace. They were trying to figure out, how do we have jury trials? And things like that. So it was a very odd time. And so there were times when we would make no money, for a month. And you start to think, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And it really does, people will tell you who are in business that if you treat people right and you do good work, eventually it does start to pick up. And it did for us.
Wow. You said something super powerful. I hear this a lot. I'm either doing a podcast or when I'm in a consultation with clients, there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong that everything that, just feels so heavy, like I'm trying, but I don't seem to see the end of the tunnel. And they kind of personalize these things to themselves. But you said, even when practicing, you went through 2 stages that are out of the norm. That was, 2010, right? Recession, people hiring, we had some online, some resumes were mailed. You don't know if they even opened your resumes or not. You didn't even know if you were going to get the phone call or not. And there was your hope. And then comes 2020 about extremely unpredictable. What do? We got to reinvent ourselves. We can't have that communication with people. We have to go virtual, but at the same time, who knows me and who needs me at this point, right? So all of these things that as a business owners we go through, in the mindset that the mindset shift that it takes from us to helping so many others. What will you say for Alex, for the potential clients or the future, and the individuals that are listening to you today, right? Someone that, they don't know if in the future they might get injured. And there are some injuries that are so severe. You were talking about some complex cases. I assume that the complexity of the case is the complexity of the accident, but also the injuries and the results in how the person is going to be and live their life in the future. This is going to change an individual, and it has changed so many individuals through an accident, right? There's people that would not be able to walk again because of what happened to them, or that incident or accident that they were involved in. What would you say to those individuals when it comes to the mindset of coming out to the other side? Because you have gone through a lot on a different perspective, yeah, but you have gone through a lot as well.
Yeah. It is very easy when we go through hardship for it to feel very personal. I've got 2 young daughters, and we just went through a cold in our family. We're passed back through each person, and one at a time, of course, to make it last as long as it can. And it was interesting when each person caught the cold in the family. It was like, why is this happening to me? I mean, my daughters would literally say, "Why me, Dad? Why do I have to have this?" We take on so much personalization. And they do call it personal injury. I mean, it is to you, but it's not, it doesn't define you. Just because a person has a severe injury or an illness, or they're going through a hardship in business, that doesn't mean that person is not enough. And so I think that there's an important perspective when we're fighting for people, for injured people. We want to maximize the recovery. We want to make it right for them as much as we can. And we want the people to have their personalities come out, to show who they are, that they are overcoming. We love a hero story. I've got some very severely injured folks that are living a life where they are paralyzed, where they've lost limbs. And the story that is the most powerful is, I've went through this devastating thing. No one here would ever imagine going through it. And yet I'm stronger because of it. And let me tell you why. That story resonates with people. And it helps us maximize the value of the claim.
Wow. Alex, how has your leadership style evolved throughout the years, and what are the plans that you have for 2026 and beyond?
Yeah. So I am a big fan of business coaching advice. So I recommend any business owner that has the resources to consider a consultant to help. So I've used a consultant named Art Italo. He's here in the Atlanta area. He specializes in legal industries. He's fantastic, and he's helped me with that type of leadership style. I've also worked with an organization called Fireproof, which is a business coaching platform that's built on the EOS system, or I think it's Gino Wickman, if the name, I can't remember the exact name, but it's from the Traction book. And so those things have helped me with leadership. For me, myself, I try to be myself, which is, lead with kindness and diligence. I show up there just like they do. My team, I try to be a real human for them. And the leadership growth edge that I'm coming to now is, we're getting to a size where I can't do everything. When I first started in 2021, I could do everything. There wasn't that much to do. And then now, 5 years later, we're a team of, we've got 4 full-time people. And so there's managing things, and then me saying, okay, actually I should let that go too. Maybe I need to hire a new person to do this as well. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So 2026 for me, I've got a lot of marketing visions for myself. I want to get more involved in the community. I want my law firm here in the Decatur and Atlanta community to help as many neighbors as I can. And then for the firm structure itself, I want to try to find people and put them in the right seats so that then I can step back from some of the things that I shouldn't be doing.
You want to delegate to elevate.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great phrasing. Yes. Yeah. I like a good rhyme. It helps us remember. Yeah.
Yes. That is fascinating. Fascinating to see, and you're locally here. So, Alex, for those, for the listeners today that they don't know, they haven't heard you before, and this is kind of like the first time they're coming across, how can they find you?
Yeah, I try to make myself very available. So, you can go to weatherbylawfirm.com. You can Google Alex Weatherby or Weatherby Law Firm. For people that are listening, it's spelled like how's the weather outside plus BY. So that's how you find me. And we're on all the socials and all of that stuff as well. And you can find us pretty much anywhere on the internet. The people that we can help the most are people that have been injured due to somebody else's bad acts, and law firms who need support on complex cases. Those are kind of the two areas that we can come in and provide a lot of value for people.
Great, Alex. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, for sharing your story. And, for our listeners, would there be one last advice or tip that you will give our listeners today? And, some wins to share with our community. And thank you for being part of this podcast today as well.
I really appreciate being here, Karen. And, if folks are listening to this podcast, then they're probably business-minded people that are looking to grow. And what I would say is just keep pursuing your passion. Your passion will come through to your clients and to those in your community, and eventually the business will grow as well.
That's right. Well said. And take care of yourself. Don't put up with the pain. Seek legal help. That stuck in my mind when you said that earlier, prior to for us going live on the podcast. And there's so many people out there that are like, I'm okay. It's not okay, and you're probably not okay. So seek help and advice. Right. Let's take care of ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. This has been great. Until the next time.
Thanks for listening to The Throne of Wealth. Be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review to help others find the show. A special thanks to our sponsor, King of Kings Accounting Firm, dedicated to helping you build and protect wealth for generations. Until next time, take the reins of your financial future and lead with confidence.